skills changed into throw water.
Throw a bucket of water, you can help.
Yeah, so again, an example of how we kind of instruct players. We don't make players read a bunch of text. We have guys shouting out instructions, shouting out things. So he's actually helping, this is a little frivolous of him to do, helping throw his corn in the middle of a fight. But you can also use it to put out bales of hay that are on fire. So when the bandits actually succeed in getting up to these bales of hay and lighting on fire, you can use that water to put out the fires and help. So we see
my cows
succeeded.
Everyone who eats beef and drinks milk thinks.
So the player succeeded here, and you notice he got credit for participating in that, even though he wasn't there from the beginning, because he found an opportunity to be a hero and took it. Now he's helping out even further by going and feeding some cows, and the cows really like that. So this is one of the things. We have a lot of just things that you can do out in the environment, little activities for you to do, ways that you can interact with the world, and that sort of thing. So that was a kind of a cool example of an event. Now we're going to continue on with our personal storyline. We're going to go, we've seen that our old friend Petra, who was mentioned before, wants to speak to us because something's going on. So we're going to go to the city of Divinity Speech. That's features. Laid out like a giant wheel. Eventually we're going to be going to the home district, which is the area that changes based on things that you've done in your personal story, but we're going to first take a little tour of the city. One of the things about our capital cities, we want them to feel alive. We want them to feel like they're NPCs or people who live here. And so we've invested a lot of voice acting work kind of in making that feel real and making that happen. And so they're actually the equivalent of over 60 feature films worth of voice acting in the game. It's the most extensive voice acting project we've overtaken. You can see a little bit of that going on there. There's a Norn character. So the other thing that we recognize about our cities is that they're places where players never most tend to treat cities as social hubs. They like to gather in cities. These are the places, if you're talking about Guild Wars 1, it would be Lion's Arch. For other games, it's other cities, where players just kind of like to get together and socialize, regardless of what level they are, how far they've gotten in the game. And so we want to make our cities very conducive to that behavior. And so what we've got here, for example, is a shooting range. We won't go do that today because we don't have enough time. But what the shooting range is basically a level-less event that anybody at any level can take part in. It's a little competition to see who can get a high score. Not anything that's tied to character advancement, not anything that's deadly serious, just kind of a fun game that players can play. And sort of, hang out in the city, talk to people in chat, do that sort of thing. And so we want to support that. We're going to go up to the upper city now and take a look at some of our artwork. So this is the sort of noble area where the Queen's Palace is located. We're actually right near the Ministry, which is sort of the ruling body. If you listen closely, you might hear some political conversations going on. Wanted to give you an idea of the sorts of effort we take to really kind of capture the art style that our concept artists have, and the effort we take to make each city really beautiful and kind of alive. The world is incredibly detailed. You look at this, it's got this kind of clockwork sun and moon and planetary system going on. We want to give people unique vistas to look at. We don't want to be kind of the standard fantasy game. We want to let people really feel, kind of the uniqueness of our art. We've got a lot of talented artists. We want to reflect that in the game. So you'll see a lot of really, really stunning sights. So now we're going to go over to our home district and kind of continue our story. So the home district is basically a large kind of neighborhood that is instanced for you. It changes to reflect decisions that you've made and choices that you made during your biography. So in this particular case, we're going to meet Petra because she says there's some kind of trouble going on at her father's bar. In other cases, we would talk to our friend Lord Farron and find out that he's throwing us a magnificent party because we went out and sort of saved the day out with the elemental. If it was the streets, we would talk to our old friend Quinn, who has gotten into trouble with the gang that he and he used to run with. And so the stories diverge a lot.
You ain't a friend, then knows 10. You ain't welcome.
So we can see some ruffians just scenes that happen.
Now I almost kind of mop it up with your face.
So this is kind of where we're going to end our human experience. Obviously, when we talk to Petra, she's going to have something to say to us. But we, have run out of time, and we'll go to the chart. This is just an example of kind of how we go about telling our story. All of our story steps are very, very much oriented toward the story. There's no kill 10 of these or bring me 5 of these. It's always very much help my friend do this. Everything follows out of the narrative of the story. And we try not to do a lot of that sort of collection of kills in the story because there's been a lot going on. We thought we wanted to confuse people. We didn't want to spoil things also. So what we're really here to look at is events and some of what it feels like to play a warrior and what it feels like to have kind of a full skill bar. So you notice the chart's got a bow out right now. Go ahead and use some skills. So the warrior has a lot of fire arrows, things like that. There he fires off 2 area arrows. The warrior is not, the bow for the warrior is actually a damage dealing weapon. It kind of changes its role. It's not just for pulling mobs or anything like that, like it might be in another round. The bow is really a way for you to change kind of what you do. So for example, the warrior can inflict a lot of area. If you switch, go ahead and switch weapons. So let's say I want to, though, inflict a lot of damage in melee. So I can switch weapons, and now I've got axe skills, and that changes my skill bar. And now I'm a very good up-close damage dealer. And so changing roles for the warrior is pretty simple. You can swap in combat. There are even more weapon combinations that you can use as a warrior that do different things for you. So yeah. So for example, you could equip like a shield or a mace or something like that, and you'd be a lot more defensive here. Let's go back to double axes. Okay. So Matthew is actually, this is again where sort of the dynamic nature of our world takes into account. So we don't know quite what we're going to see here. Matthew's actually communicating with the people back at home to see what's going on and to see if what we guys do. Okay, we're going to go to Dragon Watch. Okay. So we're going to go down here. This is an example of our travel system. Travel system is a system of waypoints that you unlock as you explore the world. You can go back to any waypoint for a really small fee at any time, and travel is pretty much instantaneous. We wanted it to be convenient for our players to travel around. We didn't want that hassle of having to wait 5 minutes to travel somewhere, or like some older school. So this is actually an example of a player-initiated event. You remember how before when we went to events, they were kind of just going on and we walked into the middle of them. This one actually waits for a player to say, yes, I'd like to participate in this event. So Matthew's going to kick this off. This is a Char fighting pit where Char warriors come to test their mettle. And now that Matthew's kicked it off, he can go participate in it, but anybody who comes along can also participate in it. They don't have to talk to that guy. This event is now running, and anybody who wants to can come in. So this is an interesting thing. We're being asked what we want to, who we want to fight, and that was actually a voting system. So when choices are made, we recognize that our content is primarily multiplayer, and so we have a voting system for players to vote on what they want to see. So in this particular case, we were voting that we wanted to fight against some branded creatures, which are these guys right here. So notice Matthew, again, is standing back and shooting with his bow. There's another warrior in there. It looks like he's using axes. This is another player from ArenaNet. So. And another thing to note is all of our effects, we try to make very kind of visually exciting, very, you can see what's going on. We try to communicate things like what areas tactics are going to have in the effects. Crystal.